Five masked men slipped through the crowd at Arlington, their eyes locked on the tomb guard, their hands hidden under dark jackets. They moved like wolves, silent, coordinated, ready to strike. The crowd saw only a ceremony, a soldier's steady steps. But those men saw a target. They didn't know who they were challenging. Corporal James Whitaker, the tomb guard, stood motionless, his rifle a perfect line, his gaze fixed on the horizon. To the tourists, he was part of the ritual. To the attackers, he was an obstacle. But what they couldn't see, what no one could guess, was that the man in that pristine uniform had faced death in Afghanistan, carried his dying friend through fire, and made a vow to protect the sacred ground. In 30 seconds, they learned what a tomb guard was truly capable of, and Arlington would never forget. Before we dive into the story, where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe that values like honor, courage, and sacrifice still matter, join us in keeping their legacy alive. The October sun hung low over Arlington National Cemetery, Virginia, casting a golden glow across the endless rows of white headstones, each one a silent testament to sacrifice. The air was cool, carrying the faint rustle of autumn leaves and the distant hum of a city that seemed a world away. At the tomb of the unknown soldier, a crowd gathered, their voices hushed in the sacred stillness. Veterans with weathered faces, families pushing wheelchairs, and couples holding hands stood together, drawn to the marble monument that honored those who gave everything without a name. The rhythmic click of a sentinel's heels echoed a heartbeat in the quiet, binding the present to a century of duty. Corporal James Whitaker, 29, a white soldier from Ohio, stood at his post. His uniform was flawless, every crease sharp, every button polished to a mirror shine. His M14 rifle rested at a precise angle across his chest. His boots gleamed and his eyes stared straight ahead, unyielding as the stone behind him. To the crowd, he was part of a ceremony, a living symbol of discipline. But James was no statue. He was a veteran of Afghanistan, where he'd walked through dust and fire, where he'd lost his closest friend, Sergeant Daniel Carter, to a roadside bomb in Kabul. The explosion had left a scar on James's shoulder and a deeper one in his heart. He joined the old guard, endured the grueling training to become a sentinel of the unknown, to keep a promise to Daniel and every soldier whose name was lost to time. Every step, every turn was an act of devotion, a vow to guard their memory. Among the crowd was Eleanor Davis, 68, a former Army nurse from the Vietnam era. Her hands, steady once in triage tents, now trembled slightly as she gripped her cane, her eyes fixed on James. She saw in him the young soldiers she'd bandaged, the ones who joked through their pain, the ones who never made it home. Beside her stood Walter Hayes, 75, a Marine veteran of the Korean War. His service cap tilted proudly. He'd come to Arlington to honor friends buried here, their faces as clear in his mind as they were 60 years ago. Other visitors, grandparents, veterans, families, stood quietly, some whispering about the tomb's history, dedicated in 1921 for the unidentified dead of World War I, later expanded for Korea, Vietnam, and beyond. The weight of those wars hung in the air, a shared memory for those who'd lived through them. But not everyone was there to honor the past. Near the chain barrier, 5 men stood apart, their black masks pulled tight, their eyes cold and calculating. They weren't tourists or mourners. They were dangerous, trained operatives from the Middle East, part of an underground network known to intelligence agencies. Their mission was to strike at this American symbol, to disrupt its sanctity and send a message. Their leader, a tall man with a scar above his mask, scanned the scene with the precision of a predator. His team moved subtly, positioning themselves with military-like coordination, each man covering an angle, each step deliberate. They trained for this, planned every move, and believed they could shatter the sacred place in seconds. James saw them. His eyes didn't move, locked forward as protocol demanded, but his instincts, honed in Afghanistan's valley, screamed. He'd spotted threats before, insurgents blending into markets, their gestures too calculated to be casual. These men were no different. The way they spread out, avoiding the cameras hidden in the stonework, the way their hands stayed close to their jackets, it was the choreography of an ambush. His heart stayed steady, his grip on the rifle firm. The sentinel's code demanded stillness, but his mind was alive, mapping their positions, anticipating their intent. Eleanor noticed them too. She'd seen danger in Vietnam, in the way men move before violence erupted. Those aren't mourners, she thought, her fingers tightening on her cane. Walter caught her glance, his own instincts kicking in. He'd faced ambushes in Korea, knew the look of men with a mission. They're not here for respect, he whispered to Eleanor. They're here for trouble.